What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 4 of the Stuart Oden podcast, where I will be talking about supplements, nootropics, PEDs, and all things fitness. Among other things, if I desire to go off topic and vibe and ad-lib, as they say, I will be appearing by myself, my favorite person for this show, because it was kind of off the cuff and I've been really busy and I haven't had time to schedule anybody. Blah, blah, blah. But I do have, I've been talking to people who want to come on, but I just have to schedule something, and my work schedule is kind of unpredictable because, it just is. And I have other stuff I want to do in my life, so it's where do I fit this podcast in? It was much easier when all I had to do was, record 7 to 10 minute videos of myself talking to the camera and upload them and then forget about them. But this is I need to block out a 2-hour period of time to talk at my desk in front of this microphone. So a little bit more of a challenge, but that's okay. Keeping my eyes on the prize, which is to create 2 hours of long form content so that I can cut it up into reels and hopefully get some exposure. Ironically, I mean, to serve people and to help them. No, but actually that's so the first thing I said, that's the tactical reason. But I do enjoy talking. I do enjoy talking. I enjoy talking to other people too. I probably should have tried a little bit harder to get a guest on for this one before I decided to come on. But it's just been so many, I guess it hasn't been that many days now that I think about it. I just did that one with Johnny Walker. Although to be fair, I didn't get much time to talk during that one with Johnny Walker. But I wanted to, hear from somebody who's got a lot of experience in something that I don't. Anyway. Let's talk about supplements, nootropics, and performance-enhancing drugs. So, anytime I talk to somebody, right, I have somebody in my life who I talk to on a regular basis, and I always tell this person, because they're always struggling with something. Their life is just a struggle nonstop. And I say, are you doing the basics? Are you eating? I don't even, the basics of the basics. I'm are you going to the gym? You got to start with that. Yeah, okay, you got to eat healthy and blah, blah, blah. But I've noticed that if you're not going to the gym, you're much less motivated to eat healthy, right? It's kind of the two things just go together. Once you start going to the gym and once you start putting the effort in to working out and you dedicate the time to doing that, eating healthy is a lot easier. You just kind of don't see it as much of a chore to not eat garbage, I guess you could say. So I always start with that one. And the answer is usually no. So I kind of wag my finger at them and say, no. Why don't you start working out? Oh, my life is so hard. It's so hard. Okay, well, fine. Well, are you taking supplements? Because you could make the argument similarly to how eating healthy is easier once you start working out. Working out is easier once you start taking supplements. It's right. It's do you have skin in the game? And I know it sounds kind of weird to think that supplements are having skin in the game, but if you think about it, they kind of are. Number one, you have to spend some money on the supplements. Number two, you have to take them. And when you take them, I hopefully are conscious of the fact that you have taken something and you feel the effect. Think about pre-workout. You take pre-workout, it's very likely you're going to actually go and work out. You're not just going to sit there at home on your couch, gripping the seats, grinding your jaw and going online. Probably not. You're actually going to go to the gym. Makes it more likely that you'll go. So it is for that reason that I recommend supplements so much for people that are interested in being healthy. It just makes everything easier, right? Supplements make going to the gym easier. Going to the gym makes eating healthy easier. It's that simple. So, I guess let's talk about my favorite supplements, because I have definitely tried a lot of them over the years, and I have kissed some frogs in my day, kissed a few princes as well, supplement princes, so nobody gets the wrong idea. And I have a pretty reliable stack at this point. My stack doesn't really change that much anymore. Occasionally I'll add something in, or I'll take something. Well, I don't really take stuff out anymore, to be honest with you. Occasionally I'll add something in to try it out to see if I notice a difference between that and all the other stuff that I'm taking, whether it's in the gym or in my work life. But it's not very common that I add anything in anymore. So the base of my stack, right? The like the non-negotiables, let's say, because there's a lot of non-negotiables. Actually, before we get into the non-negotiables, you should probably think about like why, like what do you want in your stack, first of all. For me, most of my adult life, I have been very interested in creating a stack that did two things. Number one, that would be able to mimic the effect of Adderall. I was like, okay, Adderall is the best freaking nootropic in the world. It's the only one you need. But when you take it, you get all these pimples and you don't eat for 3 days and like you sleep for 2 days afterwards and you lose 10 pounds, which isn't always a good thing. And you look like a crackhead. So what can I do to like get as close to Adderall as possible without looking like a crackhead? So that was one of the goals. The second goal was being able to work at the like kiosk job that I had for long hours without being exhausted. So I was very interested in supplements, nootropics that gave me mental clarity and that boosted my physical endurance. And the two kind of go together. If you're exhausted, it's really hard to have mental clarity, right? So that said, and also I would say stability of mood was always very important to me because, in addition, like think about it like this. You're working all day on your feet in a sales job. You're physically tired. You're mentally tired. And once you kind of dip below a certain threshold in sales, if you don't sell for a certain amount of time, you feel like you've kind of lost it. And then that affects your mood negatively. And it's not always so easy to pull yourself out of that. So the solution one of the solutions is to consistently stay above a certain level of fatigue. So anyway, the base of the stack, right? So the base of the stack that I always thought was useful was Wellbutrin, right? So this is technically not a supplement. Like you do need a doctor's prescription for this, but it's worth it. Well, technically you can order it online without a prescription, which is what I did for many years, but it's just way more expensive to do it that way. Like I was paying $2 a pill, which, $2 a pill doesn't sound that much, but $2 a pill is $60 a month. And that starts to add up. 3 months would be $180. And it's got to come from overseas, and doesn't always like get delivered reliably. So like if you're a couple days late, then you don't have it for a few days and you start to feel really bad. So eventually I bit the bullet and I signed up for Plush Care, I think. And I did this like telemedicine thing. I told them, I was like, listen, I've been taking Wellbutrin for like 5 years. I just buy it online now for $2 a pill. I would prefer, if possible, if I could get a prescription, and that would save me a lot of time and money. So, dude wrote me a prescription, and I figured out that like if you get your prescriptions filled at Walmart, like one thing that I never really understood or realized until I started being on official medication is that the same medication costs a different amount depending on where you buy it. Like you can go to CVS and pay twice as much for the same shit you can get at Walmart for half as much. Never made sense to me. So anyway, started getting my prescriptions filled at Walmart, and now I just got it filled the other day. I paid $35 for 3 months worth. So it's basically $10 a month or 30 cents a day, which is like to pay 30 cents a day for the effect of Wellbutrin, which is like I have way more energy, slightly reduces my appetite, stabilizes my mood, makes it much easier to do all of the stuff that you have to do to like function normally in the United States. Go to work, fucking drive your car everywhere, go to the grocery store, like all of this like mindless robotic stuff that human beings weren't necessarily meant to do. Makes it way easier to do those things. Like you want to subdue the masses, give them porn, Instagram, and Wellbutrin, and you'll never like have a revolution ever. People just like, oh, I got to work in the coal mine today? All right, no problem. Let me take my Wellbutrin, go on Instagram a little bit, or TikTok now, I guess, is the new one. By the way, I started uploading TikToks, so don't judge me too harshly. They're just clips from the podcast, but I figured like if I'm going to if I'm like doing this strategy of like creating the long form content to create the short form content, I might as well post the short form content on every single platform. So I only just, so like I edited all of the reels, short clips today and yesterday, in the past like 24 hours. And I'm uploading them over this weekend. So I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. My goal is to upload 50 short form videos in the next 3 days, which is a lot. Because it takes, I don't know, I would say probably like, it takes maybe 10 minutes to edit each one. Because I got to like cut the clip and I got to add the captions and, export everything. And then I got to like upload it to my phone and then post it from my phone and type in the caption and get the hashtags and all this shit. So it does take a fairly long time per video, but I want to try it out. Like I'm kind of curious to see like what would happen if because I put a fair amount of effort into the actual clips themselves. I have like the title and it's got the captions and me talking underneath. So my theory is that if people are interested, if the headline hooks them and they, like agree with my opinion, or like what I'm saying, or are at least entertained by what I'm saying, then they'll stick around and watch the entire thing, which is good for engagement. And then or like whatever social media platform will serve more content. Cause like, what do they ultimately want from users or from content creators? They want you to create content that users binge on. Because if they binge on your content, that means you keep them on the app for longer. At least that's what I was told about YouTube. I assume it's the same for the other apps as well. Man, I need to like take breathing classes or something. It's hard to freaking talk for so long like this. I'm okay. Everything is good. But today we're actually talking about supplements and nootropics. So where did I leave off? Wellbutrin. Now I will say that there is one nootropic that I absolutely love, that I do not take anymore, that I really wish I could get my hands on, but it's hard for me to get my hands on. And that is Modafinil. And I'm not like, I know some of you are like, oh, you could just order it online. The stuff from India, I don't know what that is, but that's not Modafinil. Like the real authentic stuff from either the United States or Mexico, 50 milligrams of that, and you are like a completely different person for the entire day. The Indian stuff, man, I take 200, I take a whole pill. Like the stuff from the United States, I had to buy a pill splitter to cut it up into quarters to take it, because that's all I needed. And I wanted it to last me as long as possible. But the stuff from India, I take a whole 200 milligram pill. It does nothing to me. So like, I don't know what that is, but it's not Modafinil. It's garbage. But that is like, man, that's a freaking superpower in a pill. Let me tell you. As far as coming close to Adderall, I would say that, I mean, you can't really, it's not the same, because Adderall is just like a hardcore stimulant. But Modafinil, in terms of like focus and concentration, comes really close. Like, I mean, if I had to memorize something, I would definitely choose Adderall, like no contest. I remember when I was in college, so like there was a period of my life where I wanted to graduate college, and basically what I did is I would go to class, I would take notes during class, wouldn't do any of the homework. And the day before the test, I would take some Adderall and I would read the entire textbook. That's all I would do. And then I would go take the test the next day and completely ace the test. Like I was always the first one done taking the test when I was in college. I also test very well. Like it's easier for me to take tests. I know some people like they freak out when they take a test and they like can't handle it. They're like, oh my God, I can't take tests. I just can't do it. But I am not that person. So anyway, so if I could get my hands on Modafinil, that would be pretty nice. I think maybe I could actually like go and try to get a prescription through PlushCare the same way that I did with the Wellbutrin. I just don't know if they give prescriptions like off label, if they do that. Cause like I don't know. You can't get Adderall through PlushCare. You have to actually go and see somebody in person because it's not that it's a controlled substance. I mean, it is a controlled substance, but like there's some other word for it where you can't actually do it. Anyway, so yeah, Wellbutrin, Modafinil, super good for sure. Like I've never met one of these doctors in real life, but if you know one of these doctors who are like, they'll just give you anything you want, ask them for Modafinil. If you have any interest in like being a productive person, those two right there, you're golden. In fact, if you want to be like really engrossed in a task, what I would recommend is you do this combination. You do Wellbutrin, Modafinil, centrophenazine, and what's the other one? I guess that's enough. Those three. Like if you take those three and they all kind of peak at the same time, because the peak for Modafinil happens, I would say like probably between 20 minutes and 2 hours is kind of like the peak. It's pretty long. And kind of the same for centrophenazine. It's like 2-3 hours, I would say. And Wellbutrin, I don't know, just kind of lasts the same all day, I think, in my opinion. But you take all three of those at the same time. I remember when I first started taking centrophenazine, I was taking the other two as well. And I would like, whatever I was doing when they kicked in, I would focus on doing those things for like hours. Like if I was on my phone on Reddit, then that's what I would do for 2 hours. I would just go on Reddit. What does this girl want? I don't speak Spanish. Sorry, lady. Spanish is no bueno. So let's talk about centrophenazine then. So like back in the early days of nootropics on Reddit, the main source for information about nootropics was on Longecity I think it's called Longecity. I always called it Longecity, but it's one of those things that like you never talk about with words. You always kind of like write it. Anyway, it's an old forum about life extension and supplements and nootropics that used to be pretty popular, but as far as I know is kind of abandoned now, like most other forums. And then was the nootropics subreddit, where you just had like all kinds of cowboys just trying all kinds of stuff and posting about their experiences. So in the early days of nootropics, it was all about things like piracetam and Noopept and oxiracetam and all these racetams, which is basically, as far as I understood it, like this stuff was developed in the 70s by the Russians. And basically what it does is it increases blood flow to your brain, right? I think specifically the corpus callosum in your brain. So your brain has two hemispheres, right? Two sides. And in between the two sides, there's like a thin membrane that connects them, which is how the two hemispheres of your brain talk to each other. So this increases blood flow, or piracetam does at least, to the corpus callosum. So it makes it easier for your brain or for your left brain to communicate with your right brain. Practically speaking, what I noticed that it did is it just helped with my cognition. The problem with piracetam is that the dose is 5 grams and it tastes like absolute garbage and it only lasts for 4 hours. So like, do you want to drink 5 grams of a powder that tastes like fucking rotten grapefruit every 4 hours just to like get a little bit of boost to concentration? Probably not. But the good thing is that it's very safe. Like racetams are super safe. They're not toxic. And they work and they're cheap. So like that was kind of the base of all of our research in the beginning. But the problem with racetams is that they use choline, right? Choline is a B vitamin that I think it's like, if I remember correctly, you have the racetams, which are kind of like the engine, and then the choline, which is like the fuel. So if you have the engine running super hot and you don't add more fuel, then it's gonna, like, you're not gonna feel very good, basically. So in addition to all the like exotic racetams that were eventually developed and sold, you had all of these exotic choline sources or acetylcholine sources that were supposed to be taken with the racetams. So this is things like, if you guys have heard of alpha GPC, it's a pretty commonly recommended one for like the normie nootropics enthusiasts. Like, what is it? Alpha Brain, it's like, oh, it has alpha GPC, which is like this super awesome thing. I took a bunch of that stuff. I never noticed shit. I read the same reviews that other people read about how it's amazing, it's life-changing and like does all this great stuff for you. But I never noticed shit from it. So I stopped taking it pretty quick. And it was also $50 a bottle, which didn't make sense to me because like, I know this shit all comes from China anyway. Why are you charging $50 a bottle for the alpha GPC? Never made sense. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about this is because centrophenazine is an acetylcholine. It's a source of acetylcholine or an acetylcholine reuptake inhibitor, something like that. Bottom line, it could be used with the racetams as a substitute for a choline source. So back in the day, I was taking a lot of racetams, so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try this centrophenazine. And it was dope. And I still take it today because it's that good. They give it to Alzheimer's patients, people with dementia, as a way to like help them focus, improve their quality of life. It's sold under the brand name Lucidril. So, you can buy it, I guess, or you can get it from a pharmacy. It's not like sold over the counter. But if your loved one is prescribed Lucidril and you want to buy that shit cheaper, then I would recommend going on Alibaba and hitting up your favorite Chinese supplier and being like, hey, yo, let me get a kilo. Actually, I'm not even joking. I'm pretty sure you can still do that. That's definitely what I did when I first started buying nootropics. I remember when I first started in 2015, I moved back to America from, where was I? I was living in Germany. I went to go live with my German girlfriend in Berlin. Anyway, long story. But after a year, I was like, okay, I hate Germany. This is terrible. This is like the worst country ever. No wonder Germans travel so much. So I came back to America and I started working with a friend of mine who's like a super fucking genius in business and has all these super popular businesses. He crushes it. He's like a savant. And he's like, oh, let's start this business, or help me with this business. You just came back, you have sales experience, help me get new customers for this, and I'll split the profits with you. So pretty quick, I started making more money than I'd ever made in my life before. And what did I do? I was like, oh my God, I'm going to buy all the nootropics. I'm just going to try everything. Cause this is right when I started getting into it. So I go on Alibaba and I hit up this supplier and I think I bought $1,500 worth of nootropics. I bought a kilo of Phenibut. what did I even buy? I don't even remember. I think I bought a kilo of Paracetam also. I ended up, this is the craziest part, I ended up sending back $900 worth of the stuff. I had this buyer's remorse. And I messaged my agent. I was like, listen, I want to return a lot of this. It smells kind of weird. I don't want it. And they're like, okay, no problem. We have to charge you for the shipping, but just send back what you want to send back. So I sent back $900 worth of it and they actually gave me my money back. So, props to whatever that guy's name, Steven. His name's probably not Steven, but I don't know, something like that. Yeah. So let's see. What do we have so far? Wellbutrin, Modafinil, centrophenazine, also a good one. If you can't get Modafinil, I guess you could make the case for getting Adrafinil or Armodafinil, which are these two analogs. What do they say? Armodafinil, which I think is prescribed as Nuvigil. Modafinil is prescribed as Provigil. Armodafinil is prescribed as Nuvigil. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But Armodafinil is basically Modafinil, but it doesn't last as long. It only lasts for about, I don't know, maybe 6 hours, 5-6 hours. Whereas Modafinil lasts 12 hours, which is pretty cool because you're you take it in the morning and then when it wears off, it's nighttime and you get tired because obviously you crash from 12 hours of being jacked up by Modafinil. But Armodafinil's kind of cool too because it's the same thing. It just doesn't last as long, so you have to take it twice. or 3 times if you have a really long day. So if given the choice, I would choose that over Adrafinil. The problem with Adrafinil is that it makes me kind of sick to my stomach. When I take it, I don't really feel that good. It makes me feel like, pardon my language here, but when I take it, I feel like I have to take a shit, and then I go to take a shit and I can't take a shit. It's that feeling. So it's not very pleasant. And when you combine that with all of the other stuff that I take on a regular basis, like I don't want to add that to my stomach issues, because some of the other things that I'll talk about in a second, they can also mess with your stomach. So it's like you add that on top of it. It just makes it, and then you can take stuff for your stomach too if you want. There are things that you can do to like ease your stomach discomfort. Like, for example, wheatgrass is very good for that. And you could make the argument that you should be taking wheatgrass like every day, multiple times per day anyway, to alkalize your system, which is something I should start doing again. But anyway, or you could do bentonite clay. Bentonite clay is amazing for all kinds of stuff. But if you've got an upset stomach, or if you've got heartburn and you take like a spoonful of bentonite clay, that shit goes away like immediately. I use bentonite clay for all kinds of stuff. You just have to make sure that you get the Aztec brand. Don't get any other brand. I made the mistake of getting another brand, and it's like, it just doesn't feel right. Like I used to I still do brush my teeth with the Aztec brand. I ran out, and then like I wanted to save a couple dollars, so I bought some off-brand Chinese shit. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. And like my gums started bleeding when I was using it. And I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't use this. Like, and then I went back to the Aztec brand and everything was fine. So if you're going to buy that, definitely buy the Aztec brand if you're going to do it. But ideally, you would be able to get your hands on like regular modafinil, so you wouldn't have to do this problem. So you wouldn't have to deal with this, I guess. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, Phenibut. Let's talk about Phenibut. So, Phenibut or Phenibut gets a lot of hate. Gets a ton of hate from people. And I've made like some of the most popular videos on my channel, believe it or not, are about Phenibut. Because Phenibut is so misunderstood by many of the people who take it. What do you hear when you talk about Phenibut, or when you hear the conversation about Phenibut? It's all like, don't take it every day. It's so dangerous. You got to be careful. It needs to be respected. Anybody who takes it every day is, a junkie or something like that. But the problem is that these people are talking about taking it as a party drug, right? And obviously, if you're going to take it like that, you shouldn't take it every day. But that's like saying alcohol. I mean, alcohol's a little different because that actually is pretty bad for you. But it's kind of like saying, oh, alcohol is so bad for you, it needs to be respected. You can't drink it every day. But when they're talking about it, they're implying that you're drinking fucking 10 beers a day. Of course, drinking 10 beers a day probably is not a good idea. Like even drinking 10 beers for one day a week probably isn't very good. But you can have 1 beer a day and like probably still leave just as healthy as a life as if you didn't drink any beers. Okay, maybe not. But like, I don't think it'll make that big of a difference. So that's kind of the thing with Phenibut. People just don't understand how to use it properly. Like I think a lot of people, when they take it, they just take too much. And then they don't, I guess it never occurs to them that they can just take the same amount every single day and not have to worry about it. Like not have to worry about playing with their dose. But yeah, so there's also Phenibut. That's a good one. Like these are all in my stack, except for the modafinil. What else we got? This is a new one that I just added. I have some right here. Taking this, I don't know if you can see that, mildronate. So mildronate is otherwise known as meldonium. If you guys remember back in, I think it was 2015, Anna Sharapova, the tennis star, she got busted by WADA for doping. And that was the drug that she got busted for. So it's like the argument was that the mildronate was allowing her to like practice for much longer sessions because it I don't know, prevents your muscles from getting tired or something like that, or allows you to do much longer cardio sessions, which tennis, that's a big deal, I guess, in tennis. And she was like crushing it that year. And I think everybody hated her. I think it was something because like everybody hated her because she was like really hot, or she like did nude photos or like posted sexy photos all the time. I don't know. There's some scandal about her, and she was also crushing it in tennis. So when she got quote unquote busted for that, which was a little bit shady because the WADA, they added it to their banned substance list in like October, and she got busted in, I think, January. So, one could make the argument that she just wasn't, didn't realize that it was on the list. And I think she'd even been prescribed it by a doctor. So like, I mean, I don't know, whatever. Doesn't seem like it was that big of a deal. Plus, like, I think a lot of these, I don't know. I think that doping should be legal in sports anyway. That's just my opinion. I think they should be allowed to take whatever they want, especially in a sport like tennis. Like, who cares about you? They're not like, there's no, in UFC or something like that, you could make the argument that those guys should be natural, or that they should not be allowed to have more than a certain amount of, let's say, supplemental testosterone or human growth hormone. Because if they get too big and they get too strong, they might seriously injure their opponents. You can make that argument for UFC, but for tennis, I mean, like, can you really make that argument? Or fucking, I don't know, bicycling or something? I think what they did to Lance Armstrong was kind of a shame as well. Definitely crucified that guy. Because from what I understand, everybody in cycling is doping. But even in UFC, like, let's be honest, back in the day when they didn't test, UFC was I like UFC still. But back in the day, it was pretty cool, seeing all those like big roided out dudes smash each other. I don't know. It was kind of cool. Actually, I think, one of the dangers of letting mixed martial artists take a lot of performance enhancing drugs is not necessarily that they'll hurt the other person. It's that if they are in such good shape, if they're so resilient, then they might get injured by their opponent and not quit, if that makes sense. Like, you saw this if you guys saw the Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler fight, like, Michael Chandler just got like straight outclassed by Justin Gaethje. Like, I don't think Gaethje had a single mark on him the whole fight. But Chandler, dude, his face was like all swollen and lopsided. And Gaethje, he's a hard hitter, man. He was landing some bombs on Chandler. But Chandler just wasn't getting knocked out. And I'm not saying Chandler's on the sauce, but I mean, if you look at that guy, like, that dude's on something for sure. Like, he's not natural. He's definitely on something. And you could tell at the end of the fight that Gaethje was just like, okay, if you're a UFC fighter, you want the knockout for sure. You want the highlight reel. But he was definitely holding back, because I think that he knew, he's like, okay, this guy's not in his right mind and they're not calling the fight. So do I really want to be responsible for like giving this guy brain damage at the end of this fight? Which I understand, it was good of him to do that, because he already had the fight won, and like, you don't need to permanently injure your opponents, I think. So anyway, this stuff, mildronate, this is, I don't know, this is one of those things like where I take it and it's like, do I actually feel anything from this? I remember when I started taking it, it's one of these like placebo effect things where like I thought I had more endurance, so like I would push myself harder. Okay, so for what it's worth, when I started taking this is when I started doing 2-a-days in the gym. This past like month and a half, 2 months. And not just 2-a-days, but I would start like working out, I'd go do a class in the morning and then go for a run in the afternoon. A lot of cardio heavy stuff. They have this class. They have this class at the gym. I think it's called GTX. And you kind of alternate between the treadmill and different like exercises like push-ups and fucking planks and shit like that. But there's a lot of running. There's like a ton of running. Like, there's 3 phases of running. First phase is like a light jog, and then a medium jog, and then kind of like a not a sprint, but, you know, a very uncomfortable run on the treadmill. Like you're supposed to push yourself. Like I think I was doing like 10 miles an hour for multiple minutes, which is for me is a lot. So anyway, I went to that class in the morning and then I would like go work out in the afternoon. And that, you know, you combine that with the cold pool and it's like, I think you get this idea in your head that you're in a lot better shape than you really are. But that kind of placebo effect is kind of a good thing, right? It's like if you can use the placebo effect to your advantage to push yourself harder because you expect that you should be able to, then I think that's good, which is actually something that I see quite a bit. Oops, dripping this shit all over the place with this, right? This right here is the cerebrolysine. And this is the type of thing where like, you're like, okay, shit, I just injected 10 milliliters, which is a lot of liquid of this like pig brain extract into my leg. I've read online that it's supposed to like give you superpowers. So I probably have superpowers right now. Like, let me go like work myself 10 times harder than I've been working myself, you know, this whole time. So anyway, that's like the whole argument is like, you know, people talk about the placebo effect, but if you're actually getting an effect from it, is that really so bad? I don't know. I don't think so. Like if there was a pill that I honestly believed, was doing something for me, then I would take it, you know, why not? Like who cares? So anyway, let's talk about cerebrolysine. This is kind of a fun one. So this is one, God, you know, is this a waste of money? It's really expensive and you have to inject it. It's really uncomfortable. Does it even do anything? Like who even knows? But I'm still taking it anyway. I felt like taking it. I was like, I need every edge I can get when I'm doing my sales job. And like, if I take that, then I'll sell more. I'll file more claims. Whether or not that's actually true, I'm not sure. Well, it's not true. I can tell you that. I like filed the exact same amount of claims that I did before when I wasn't taking it. But I'm still taking it anyway. So hopefully I'm going to be a little bit healthier as a result. Although I will say one thing. So like open secret is that I have this skin issue, right? It's super embarrassing for me. I hate it because I'm like the healthy person. I'm the health nut. I'm supposed to know all these strategies for being healthy. But meanwhile, I have like this like skin problem where I have psoriasis like under my eyes and on my head. It's just terrible. So one of the things, like I'm always looking for ways to like make it go away. And what I started doing the other day is I cut out energy drinks, right? I cut them out. I was like, this can't be good for me. I would go to bed and my heart would beat really fast and it would be hard for me to fall asleep. And like, I couldn't sleep on my side because I would feel my heart beating into the bed and it would make me uncomfortable. So anyway, a couple of days ago, I stopped drinking energy drinks and I switched completely to coffee and I sleep better. My heart doesn't pump like crazy, but most importantly is that my skin is so much better. Like it barely itches anymore. Like, yeah, maybe a little bit, but nothing close to like what it was before. Before I would wake up in the morning and just like scratching myself. And if I was able to not scratch myself, I would want to scratch myself so bad. It was terrible. Yeah. Anyway, nobody wants to know about that. But I will tell you one thing that's also good about this, or that I've noticed is also really good about one thing that helps, I guess, with your overall health is the cold plunge. I've been doing the cold plunge for about 2 months now. Has it only been 2 months? Jeez, I've only been here for 3 months. That's kind of crazy. It feels like I've been here for so much longer. Anyway, I started doing the cold plunge about 2 months ago. So much more energy. It's so good for my skin. And not only is it like so amazing, but when I get out of the cold plunge and I'm like in the locker room putting my clothes back on, I tell everybody, I'm like, hey dude, have you tried the cold plunge yet? Like people I don't even know. And like, yeah, okay, I try to be social. I do work in sales, so I probably talk a little bit more than your average person. But I'm not like the type of guy who like chats with the guys in the locker room. But I'm telling you, like every time I do it, I see some random person that I don't know. And I'm like, hey bro, you got to try the cold plunge. And they're like, oh really? Yeah, I've been meaning to try it. Is it really that good? oh my God, it's so amazing. You got to try it. Like, it gives you more energy. It does this, it does that. What I used to say about it is that, like, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. Because it's just, you know, and you can take all the supplements that you want and like change your diet and change your sleeping patterns and all that stuff. But like, until you do the cold plunge, forget it. You're not reaching your true potential, in my opinion. But yeah, like, I mean, as interesting as these 3 months have been, I don't want to stay here for the winter time. I'm really not looking forward to it. I mean, it's nice now because it's like summertime and it's warm and I like warm weather, but my goal is to like have it be not here. I would love to go back to Thailand for a few months. Like go visit my parents, Puerto Rico for a month, Thailand for 3 months, and then come back here and go to work after like crushing it sufficiently. All right, so the mildronate, cerebrolysin. Oh, how about this one? Let's talk about this one. We'll get into the PEDs now. Oh, I don't want to even show you this. It looks gross. But testosterone. I have testosterone in my hand. So I don't want to show you the vial. So, like, I probably should admit this, but I will anyway. So, like, I also take BPC 157, which is it's like to help you heal faster. And the way that comes is in vials where it's not already turned into a solution yet. It's like you get the vial with like the dry powder at the bottom, and you have to add bacteriostatic water to it so that you can create a solution for you to inject. So like basically what you're doing is you're taking one vial or like one little container of liquid and you're pulling water out of that with a needle and syringe and you're putting it into another one. And then I have also this vial of testosterone, which I'm supposed to be pulling testosterone out and injecting into my own body. So the reason I'm telling you this is because one day I like pulled the water out of the bacteriostatic water container and I injected it into the testosterone container. So then, like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to put anything from the outside in there because then it's like contaminated and like can get gross and stuff can start growing in there. Even though bacteriostatic water, like, I guess you could say, since it's already sterilized, it's probably not that big of a deal. But the issue is that this shit looks like fucking Sprite now. Like this doesn't, it looked like clear oil before. Now it looks like oily Sprite, which is gross. Actually, it's not even Sprite. Like, what's a cloudy liquid? Like, it looks like a cloudy liquid. Like, it kind of looks like you know what, but it's not, hopefully. So I'm a huge fan of testosterone injections because, I mean, the last 2 years have been pretty tough for me. It's been a tough 2 years. Like the last year was just like a struggle for sure. And then, you know, the big C before that, like it was hard. And I think I'm not saying like without that, I wouldn't be able to get through it, but it was just tough. I don't know. Like they say that once you go on test, you do it for life. Like TRT is for life. And I guess that's true, but it's like, why would you want to ever come off? Like, why would you want to stop? You know, number one, why would you want to stop? And number two, who cares if it's for life? That's like saying, once you start taking this pill, it's for life. Well, so what? Like, it's not that hard for me to take a pill. It takes like 5 seconds. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I never understood. I mean, I guess I understand where it comes from, where people are like, oh, you have to inject it all the time and blah, blah, blah. Well, like, who gives a shit? Doing the injection takes literally a minute, you know, and it only takes me a minute now, which is a long time. Usually it takes 10 seconds. It only takes me a minute now because the needles that I'm using are super thin and it takes a long time for me to draw the solution through the needle into the syringe. But I mean, before, when I had like a better needle, it just like went right in, like pulled it right out of the syringe, vial, did the injection super quick. Shit was like 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever. In terms of like traveling with it, I have like, when I did shows, So like when I did shows, I was traveling every weekend, and I do my pins every day, right? I'm not the type of person where like I'm going to do it once a week and my levels go up and down. Like I'm doing it every single day to keep my levels stable. So if I'm flying on Thursday and I'm there for 3 days and then I fly back on Sunday, how am I going to do it every day? I got to take it with me. So what I did is I put that shit in a clear plastic bag and threw it in my bag and took it with me every single time. Never once, not a single time in probably 100 flights did TSA stop me and ask me for a prescription. So like, and not only that, okay, I'm going to admit something right now. Well, okay, fuck it, I'll admit it. So like, maybe I shouldn't admit this actually. Oh, whatever. Nobody's going to watch this anyway. Who cares? So, I have at various times experimented with other performance enhancing drugs, some of which are not legal. Okay. There, I said it. That's not the exciting part. The exciting part is that I did it during a time where I was traveling for work and I was carrying these things with me in my suitcase on a regular basis for personal use. It's not like I was like, serving sacks in my spare time, but I never once, like you just put it in a separate container and they don't even look at it. Like never once did I get like, questioned or asked like, what is this? In fact, actually I take that back. The one time they asked me or would ask me like, what is this? Like we need to test this, is when I had a full container of bentonite clay, which I would take with me because I brushed my teeth with it. And they would stop me and they take it out and they say, what is this? Blah, blah, blah. We need to test it. They'd swab it, put it in the machine, and then let me go 2 minutes later. So, I mean, I don't know why I said that. This was relevant to the story somehow. I don't know, whatever. I think that kind of thing should be legal anyway. I think maybe some steroids should be illegal. Oh, excuse me. I think so. Maybe you could make the case that like trenbolone should be illegal, but testosterone, I mean, come on, like Anavar, D-ball, I don't know. D-ball, I guess you could make the argument that it should be illegal because it's like so strong and it turns you into like the Hulk. No, maybe not the Hulk. It makes you stronger though, for sure. Like you're like repping out your 1RM just like it's nothing. But yeah, test is good. There was the recent video by Mike Israetel where he recommended that if you want to experiment with steroids, that you should start with orals and just take them for a few weeks and kind of see how you feel. That's at least that's how I understood it. I'm not sure if he recommended like 6 weeks or 12 weeks. As far as I know, it was like 6 weeks, but what do I think about that? Let's see. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well just start with the ones that actually do something, Like, okay, you could make the argument that like if you want to experiment, you can try taking D-ball every day for 2 weeks and see how you feel. But the problem is that like all steroids are kind of different. Like they all affect you in different ways. And just because you like D-ball doesn't mean you might like Test. Just because you like Test doesn't mean you're going to like Anavar. Everybody kind of responds a little bit differently. However, one thing that you could say is going to stay the same for everyone is that regardless of what you take, it's going to crash your natural production of testosterone. And you need testosterone. Like every man needs testosterone. And if you crash your natural production, you're going to feel like shit. So therefore, you should always take testosterone if you're going to take any other performance enhancing drugs that affects your, endocrine system. That's the whole, I think that's why everybody was kind of jumping down his throat about that. Oh man, I really should have got a guest on this fucking show, huh? Oh well, whatever. Okay, so let's see. So testosterone. I've thought about going on Tren for so long. Like I've got 10 vials of Tren in my fucking suitcase over there, and I'm just like, I'm too scared to use it. I've just seen and heard so many stories where people are like, yeah, I started it, and then like I broke up with my girlfriend and I lost my job and I got kicked out of my apartment and like all this horrible stuff happened. I didn't realize that all this horrible things were happening to me. I thought the whole world was against me. And then when I stopped taking the Tren, I realized that I've been a huge asshole to like everybody that I know. And like my situation, my life situation is not such that I can really afford to like lose those things, I would say. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just do it anyway. Fuck it. Who cares? Like, I'm getting older. You know, I'm probably not going to do tren in my 40s. So like, you know, oh, you know what? So my birthday is in 6 weeks. Fuck, I'll be 39 in 6 weeks. Oh, jeez. Oh, man, 39 years old. I feel like turning 39 is a lot like turning 29. I would always tell people that 29 is a lot worse than 30, because when you turn 29, you just like, you spend the whole year thinking about how you're going to be 30. And then when you turn 30, you've like fatigued yourself so much by worrying about turning 30 that you don't even give a shit anymore. You're like, fuck it, I'm 30, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I feel like 39 is going to resemble that, probably. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to be 40 next year. I haven't done this, I haven't done that. Like, and then I'm going to turn 40 and be like, whatever, fuck it. Definitely had a lot of stuff that I wish that I had done by 40 that I haven't done yet. But, you know, it is what it is. One thing, though, that I would like to get into is coaching. And I think I'm just going to have to do the fitness coaching. I think I'm just going to have to do it. I'm going to have to sell a program. I'm going to have to charge people $5,000 for me to tell them to eat chicken and fucking do kettlebells. That's just all there is to it. Because I realized that no matter what you do as a coach, it's going to be simple instructions. Like, shit is not hard. Like, changing your life for the better is really not hard or technical or hard to figure out how to do. It's just that people need to be surrounded by other people who are also working on the same thing to sustain a certain level of motivation and to actually like get themselves to do that thing. They need to hear the instructions, and they need to see that other people around them are also doing it in order for them to actually work on it. That's what I realized. And if you charge for coaching, I was always under the impression that you're charging for the information. And it's like, well, like, do they really need these 100 videos? Like, no, probably not. Like, all they need to do is like eat steak every day and go to the gym. Like, go join a CrossFit gym and just go there 5 days a week. There you go. Solve your problem. But without being in a community of people who are also following the same instructions and like being part of the same group and taking instructions from the same person, you could say that it's unlikely that people are going to even do that. Like, if you take dating coaching, for example, right? Like, there's a lot of guys out there who teach you how to go pick up girls. It's really not that hard. It's like, go talk to those girls over there. Go do that 10 times a day. Go do that 20 times a day. Go out 4 nights a week and do it for 3 hours a night. Just go do it. Go try. You're going to get better. You know what I mean? That's all you need to do. If you think about it, like, that's the 1-2 punch. Is like, go talk to girls and try and get their number. Go talk to girls, try and kiss them. Go talk to girls, try and bring them back to your place to see if they want to sleep with you. That's all it really comes down to. And yeah, you could say, okay, there's some nuance here or there as far as how you do it. I'm not saying like advocate violence or anything like that, but it doesn't, like, just go try, you know? But anyway, I had a lot of mental blocks with coaching. It's like, one thing that I realized, because I briefly like opened up a coaching program for a short period of time, and I saw the types of people that were interested, and I kind of like, and this is a common thing with coaches where they hate their customers. They like kind of despise the people that sign up for their program because they're thinking they've already solved whatever problem that they're selling as a coach, or the solution they're selling the solution for. All coaches kind of hate their customers because they've already figured out what these people are paying them to learn. So they're like, dude, I've already figured this out. It's like they're a fish swimming in water, and the other fish who are like drowning, they're like, how do we swim? How do we swim? And the coach is like, dude, pay me $5,000 and I'll teach you how to swim. Okay, here you go. Here you go. Anyway, I've come to terms with that. And I've realized that not only that, but like, if you're going to be a snob about the things you're good at, it looks really bad. Like, I was talking to a coach recently, and this guy is I won't say what he teaches or who it is, but this person teaches something. I'm fucking so out of it. I should have eaten lunch today. So I was talking to a coach the other day, and this person teaches guys how to improve with women. Let's just say that. And I was asking him some questions, and the more questions that I was asking, because I was asking beginner level questions, not necessarily for me, but I just wanted to see what the common recommended protocol was for beginners. So the more questions, like the more I was letting this person talk, the more agitated I saw that they were getting, because it seemed like they were sick of answering questions for beginners. And they kind of had this attitude of like, well, you just do this and you just do this. Like they were just being like very snobby about what answers they were giving, like snobbily giving advice. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's what I fucking sound like. That's what I sound like when I'm like, oh, just eat chicken. Oh, just go to the gym. It's disgusting. Like, it's so bad. It's like, bro, don't be a dick. It's already hard enough for some people to go to the gym and to eat healthy food. They don't need you to shit on them in a snobby way to like solve their problem. It doesn't help. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help you. It doesn't make them like you. It doesn't make you look cool. You look like a fucking dick. So since then, I have a new attitude towards coaching, where I like genuinely actually kind of want to help people solve their problem. I know it sounds weird. It feels weird to say it too, but yeah, it is what it is. Plus, like, you can make a lot of money doing it, and it's not like I don't love selling things door to door, like roofing, but I would prefer to not do it given the choice. What I would prefer to do, if you really want to know, is I want to live the Joe Rogan lifestyle, right? I want to have a podcast every single day where I have a guest on. Okay, maybe it's not the Joe Rogan lifestyle. Maybe it's like some hybrid of Joe Rogan and like some high-paid coach who goes around and does speaking engagements and talks to different people and that kind of thing. So like, you do the podcast during the day, you cut the podcast up and post the clips, on Reels or whatever to like get the exposure. And then you just like work out and chill for the rest of the day and watch UFC. Is that too much to ask? Is that really so hard to achieve? Oh man, what a train wreck. Oh yeah. So anyway, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have any clips from this show. This is so bad. I don't know why I'm so out of it today. I've just been, okay, so this week I took 4 days off from the gym, which I never do. But I've been working out so much and just like grinding so hard that on Monday I was like, okay, I got to take a break. I need a day off. So I stayed home on Monday and like caught up on paperwork and did some stuff online, whatever. And then on Tuesday, I was like, you know what? I don't feel like going to the gym. Maybe I'll take another day off. So I took another day off, and like if I told you that I got a lot done on Tuesday, I would be fucking bold-faced lying to you. Like, I'd be lying to you 100%. But it was kind of nice to have the morning free and not to have to go to the gym, and like I felt like I had all this extra time, and how much fatter can you really get in one day? So then on Wednesday, I was like, okay, should I go to the gym today? No, I shouldn't. Didn't go to the gym again. Same thing. I was like, oh, I have all this extra time. I was like relaxing, barely did shit for work. Thursday, same thing. And finally today, I was like, okay, got to go to the gym. Got to do it. So I went. It was all right. But the difference is that for the rest of the day, I got a lot done. Like, I went, I did all kinds of work stuff and like saw these customers. I did a bunch of paperwork, and now I'm doing this podcast. I edited a bunch of reels. So the point is that like, the more you push yourself and the more you discipline yourself to do the shit you don't want to do, the more that attitude carries over throughout the day. And the more you're going to apply that same mentality to other areas of your life, which is why I used to be such a fan of being in the 5 a.m. club. When you wake up at 5 a.m. every day, because what's the advantage of waking up at 5 a.m. every day? Is like you wake up at 5 a.m. and like, what are you going to do at 5 a.m.? Like, what can you do in the world? Like, if you want to go outside and do something, what can you do? You can't do shit. So it forces you to be productive. It forces you to like work on all of your little side projects that you want to work on. And then you work on those for like 3 hours. And like in that time you have coffee and you have breakfast and like you do all this shit. And then by 8 o'clock, 8:30, you've already like worked on your side hustle for 3 hours. And then you have the whole day to do other stuff. You have the whole day to work on your like normal job. And then you go, it's even better if you combine it with working out. You go to the gym at 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, you've already worked on your side hustle for 3 hours. You've worked out for 2 hours. And then you go to work. And it's like you already feel like you won the day. I got to start waking up at 5 a.m. again. The only problem with that is that like I can't, if I do that, then it's hard for me to go out at night. You know, it's like if I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, 7:30, like I'm trying to go to bed, you know, like I'm tired. I've like, not only you're just more active when you wake up at 5 a.m. So that's the problem. If you go to bed at 7:30, it's like, it kind of makes it hard to have a social life. And I already don't have a social life. However, I could make the argument that I shouldn't really be focusing on a social life right now. Like I should be focusing on like, let's say I really was serious about the podcast and reels and fucking coaching and stuff like that. That's what I should be focusing on. Like when I think about it, because when I was in Miami, all right, so I still have a blog where I was uploading, it was a beauty blog, right? Talking about like hair and skincare and like writing all these articles that are made for SEO. And I know you guys are like, oh, SEO, that doesn't work anymore. But I got randomly like a message from Google the other day and it's like, oh, congratulations on getting 800 clicks a month or 800 clicks in the past 28 days. And I'm like, 800 clicks, what the fuck? So I checked the search tools and sure enough, I was getting like 20, 30 clicks a day. So that shit works is the point. And the point is that when I was in Miami, I wasn't waking up at 5 a.m. I was waking up at like 7 a.m. But I was working on it every day for 3 hours a day. And before that, when I was like, you know, still with my parents, I was working on it. That's when I was waking up at 5 a.m. doing that shit every day for like 3 hours. I was doing it until like I couldn't bear to look at pictures of fucking moisturizer anymore. I was ready to throw my laptop out the window. But I still did it and I was grinding and I have maybe 250 articles up there now. Only 120 are indexed. There's another 125 that like, I don't know, Google's taking their sweet ass time to index them. But I'm getting that kind of traffic when only half of the articles essentially are live on Google. So just imagine what it'll be like in fucking 6 months when Google gets around to like indexing the rest of the pages. And not only that, but if I had been smart and actually gotten up at 5 a.m. every day for the past 3 months since I've been here and worked on that shit for 2 to 3 hours, imagine where I would be now. Let's say an average of like 2 to 3 articles a day times 90 days. Let's say another 200 articles. That's 450 articles that I would have on there. Oh my God. I mean, forget about the fact that like I'm just over beauty. Like I don't want to work in the beauty industry anymore. I mean, I will if I have to this winter. I might have to go do some shows this winter to stay afloat, or to not spend all my money. But in terms of like keeping the beauty blog running, because I love talking about, you know, top 16 best CC creams for, you know, olive complected skin. I don't really care about that particularly. But I've been thinking about that. It's like, so one of my other podcasts, I was talking about personal branding. I think it was with Johnny from Rules for Rebels. And I remember this because I actually cut this into a short clip. But basically, oh God. Oh, fuck. So basically it was all about personal branding. And the advantage of having a personal brand, number one, is that you're basically making yourself into a celebrity where you're like, I'm the brand, it's me. Like think Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk. That's a personal brand. Tony Robbins like has his thing, like he's unique. You know a Tony Robbins program, you know what his voice sounds like. Same with Gary V. Like you know what his content looks like, you know what his message is like. The idea is that when you have a personal brand, you're easily identifiable in that way as well. And if you manage to combine that with something that you're interested in, then essentially every day for the rest of your life, you get to make money and grow your brand just by talking about stuff that you're interested in. And you also get famous in the meantime in your industry. So that's the advantage. So anyway, I was thinking about that and I was like, because if you think about it, like your favorite content creators, let's call them, because content creators are kind of by default personal brands. Your favorite content creators, like they don't have side hustles. Like they live and die by whatever their fucking business is about. Like Tony Robbins, again, let's use him. That's an extreme example, but we'll just use him anyway. He like goes home, or at least in the beginning of his career, like he went home and he's like, how can I like make what I'm doing more interesting for people? How can I expand my business? How can I focus on helping people be the best that they can be? He wasn't like running a beauty blog on the side. He wasn't like, fucking trying to figure out how to sell shit on eBay. He wasn't like working as an insurance agent part-time while he got his business going. Like he was full, like all in on whatever he was doing because he had a personal brand. So I've been thinking about that and I'm like, fuck man, like why am I wasting my time with all this other shit? Like I got so much other shit going on that like I'm like halfway, 50% done with all of it. None of it is particularly interesting. I kind of started it all just to make a quick buck or because I thought it would be easy. And then ultimately like I end up giving up because I'm just not that interested in it. So anyway, I was like, what if I just picked one thing for a personal brand and just focused on that? And that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out right now. So what I was thinking is like, let's think. I was thinking like self-improvement with like self-improvement's so broad, like self-improvement with fitness kind of, but with a focus on like, what are the three big topics in personal development, or the three big topics in info marketing is get laid, get paid, and get in shape. Any product pretty much that you sell is going to be based on one of those three topics, or those are the big three. I mean, there's also like how to, develop a flourishing garden and all that stuff. But like the big three that appeal to everyone is like how to lose weight or build a better body, how to make more money, or how to make more money with like this little trick, or how to get laid more, or, improve your relationship or whatever. So I should pick one of those. So it's like, ideally it would be all three, because I just love talking about all three, but I haven't really mastered all three. The only one that I could say that like I feel comfortable selling my experience would be fitness, because I just know so much about it. It's like I could help if somebody did what I said. I could make them like have a great body for sure, lose all the weight, build all the muscle, like just do what I tell you to do. You'll get jacked for sure. And you'll do it in record time also. And you'll do it in record time and it'll be fun and you'll enjoy it. How about that? Wow. That's a bold statement, but it's true, because I will just tell you to do what I do and I enjoy it. Like I love going to the gym. Like I love going to the gym so much that I go sometimes twice a day, even if I don't feel like working out. I'll still go twice a day and work out. And not like I'm like the most jacked guy in the world, but I think my body is good enough for most people who would buy a program to get a nicer body, in my opinion. Man. So anyway, yeah, I need to just pick one thing and like focus on it. And I was thinking, so basically the way that it works right now with my current job, with the door-to-door sales thing, because we're so backed up with jobs, it's unlikely that any new jobs that are signed from today will get built this year. Like as of right now, it's September 2nd. We stopped building the middle of November. Well, I mean, my lease is up November 7th. So like I'm out of here November 7th. So I have basically 65 days left to bring in more business. But the problem is that it's very unlikely that anything that I bring in the next 65 days is going to get built this year. And if it doesn't get built this year, that means I don't get paid on it this year. So I'm kind of at this point where like I'm pretty much capped out at what I'm going to have in my bank account by like the end of December, let's say, because it takes a little time to get paid out. Mid-December, let's say. So I'm kind of capped on that. So I'm thinking to myself, like, should I really spend these last 2 months trying to bring in new business? Or should I spend these last 2 months on what I want to do from December to March also? And, like get the coaching thing going, like get the personal brand going, like create more content, just do that. I'm kind of like debating. I'm not really sure. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. I will let you know at some point, probably in the near future. Should I go on trend? Oh, maybe I should. Should I go inject it right now? Yes. Okay, fine. You convinced me. All right, I will. I'll be right back. No, I don't know about that. But I think I am going to do it because like I do want to do it eventually. I do want to try it. And I have, like I said, my birthday is in 2 months or like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. And it would be cool to be super jacked for my birthday. It would be cool. And I mean, it would also be cool to have a birthday party, but I think that's not going to happen this year. I think that is not going to happen unless I just have one for all the people that I work with. And I'll be like, hey, it's my birthday party. You guys should all come. And then just have a bunch of random people that I barely talk to show up at my birthday party. That would be interesting. Next year, I'm going to have the birthday party. Next year. It's going to happen next year for sure. My 40th. Oh, God, that's going to be awful. Whatever. It's not going to be awful. It's going to be dope. I'm going to be stoked. I'm definitely... I have a friend who's like, call him Bobby Fischer, because he's kind of mentally insane. He's like one of these guys who's too smart for his own good. And every year, I don't really talk to him anymore because he's way too toxic for me. He's just like, I can't handle the toxicity. But back when we were friends and like talking regularly, we would always say like, this is going to be our year, man. Next year is our year, because he's Jewish also, and like Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, it's kind of seen as the new year. Like I don't know. It's treated similar to how New Year's is treated for the West. And we'd always be like, this is going to be our year, bro. This is it. And he's in a much worse situation than I am. Shout out to Bobby Fischer if he watches this, but he probably won't. Oh, man. Anyway, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, my life's not bad. I have a good life, like my gym is amazing. What else do I have going for me? I have a decent dating life, I would say. I mean, since coming to Minneapolis, I mean, I'm crushing it on the dating scene. Like I'm just like not knocking it out of the park. Like there's always room for improvement, but I've like hooked up with a lot of girls since being here, which I never would have expected, because all the girls here are like freaking, well, most of them are just like super hardcore liberals. Let's see what this person texted me really quick. Oh, did you delete my... Oh, I'm at work. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, it's surprising how easy it is out here, or how easy it's been for me out here, because I have not, like, I would think it would be easier in Miami, but it's tough in Miami, man. It's rough. People are so flaky in Miami. And also the competition in Miami is much higher. Like the dudes out there, like they all work out and they're all tan and jacked and smooth. They got like the Latin, like suave thing going on. But the girls, oh my God, the girls in Miami, holy shit. Anyway, yeah, God, I wish I had stayed there. What was I thinking? I could just be writing my articles every single day. Oh well, it is what it is. You can't put the shit back in the donkey. Anyway, let's talk about more nootropics. I don't know how we got off topic. So let's see, what else do I take? What's another good one that I recommend? I don't know, BPC 157. Like, let's talk about injury prevention. If you have an injury, because every once in a while I'll talk to somebody who has an injury and like, oh, I just had shoulder surgery, or, you know, I pulled this muscle, or like broke my bone or whatever. And sometimes I say to them, I'm like, are you taking any peptides to speed up the recovery process? 99 times out of 100, the answer is no. But I know that if they took BPC 157, if they took TB 500, if they took a little MK 677, it would cut their recovery time in half. Why don't they do it? I don't know. I think it's a little weird for people to just inject stuff that they buy off the internet, I guess. For me, it doesn't seem so weird because I've been doing it for so long. But I guess for your average person, it seems weird. It's just such a shame, because why would you want to be injured? Like, doesn't it torture you inside to not work out or to not have like 2 functioning arms? Like, I would, if all I had to do was pay for something online and inject it into my leg like once a day, and it meant that I wouldn't have to, you know, limp around for 6 additional weeks, I would do it. I don't know. Am I weird? Yes, I am weird. So yeah, BPC 157, that shit is good. The source that I get it from, I buy all my stuff from this like random Chinese person. I can't tell you where to get it, unfortunately. I wish I could. I guess you could DM me privately, and maybe I could perhaps not tell you, because I would not reveal that information because that's illegal. But yeah, I get it all from some random Chinese person. And when I get it, it comes in like, you get a box of 10 vials. So like the same stuff that you would order online, like where 1 vial would cost you $35, I get 10 vials for $35 from my Chinese hookup. So, I mean, maybe I should resell that. How to start your own illegal performance enhancing drug business. Your illegal, gray market, cryptocurrency payment only, illegal drug business that you source from China and don't test. Yeah, it sounds like a good course. I would sell that course for sure. I always used to think to myself, I was like, man, like all the stuff that I want to teach people how to do is either illegal or unethical. Which is kind of true. It's like, I would love to make a very in-depth video or course or sell my expertise on how to order illegal substances from China and how to resell those things, but that would be illegal and I'd get in trouble. So I can't do that. So that's no fun. I have to try and figure out like an honest way to make a living. It's so hard. Why's it got to be so hard? It's just, you know why it's hard? It's hard because it feels kind of fake. Like, yeah, I understand people want to be in shape, but like you got to jump through all these hoops. Like you got to make a funnel and you got to do email marketing. It's like, bro, give me $5,000. Just give it to me and I'll tell you what to do. And that's it. But that's not, it has to be more, you can't be so caveman-like about your marketing. You have to finesse your customers. I remember, so like, I used to be a writer back in the day, and I would write the best articles ever, but I would make them like a visual work of art. I would put links, I would format it bold, italicize, I would add the best images, some videos, and even just to look at it, it would look like a beautiful thing. Even if you weren't reading it, even if you just like looked at the structure of the words and the formatting and the colors, it was just gorgeous. And I would always look at writers who didn't do that, who had like super long paragraphs and like bad punctuation, you know, just where it didn't look aesthetically pleasing, even just looking at it. And I was like, you're missing something here. But it's strange that I only took that much care with articles that I was writing. I don't do that for videos. I didn't do that for anything else. But if I just applied the same concept to that, like just make it visually appealing. Just make them like want to chase the carrot a little bit. not because they want the carrot, but because chasing it looks fun. If I just did that, I'd be so much more successful. But I don't know why I don't do it. I don't know why. You just got to do it, though. I think it's just laziness. It's kind of hard to, like, at least if I'm thinking about the writing stuff, I was like art. I was like me creating art is kind of how I thought about it. But it was hard, It took me like a week to write each article. And yeah, it's like some of them were like 9,000 words, but still, I would write the first draft in like a day. And then I would spend like the rest of the time editing it. So it's kind of like, it's the same thing for marketing. You got to write your emails in a certain way. You got to order them in a certain way. Got to make your funnel this way. I'm talking about it like I know what I'm talking about. I just want to be rich. I just want to make 20 grand a month. Is that so much to ask? Just help me make 20 grand a month, please. One of the two people who's watched this far. Just tell me how to do it. I'll give you anything you want. No, I'm joking. I'm not that desperate. Worst case scenario, I can just go knock doors for 4 or 5 hours a day and like sell roofing stuff, which is not ideal. Like I'd rather not have to do that for too much longer, but it's a good fallback plan, I guess. Work 6 months, make 6 figures. But I just much rather have cool people on my guest list and like talk to them about various things. Let's see here. What does this person say? You can always use Phenibut if you struggle with approach anxiety. Bro, I take Phenibut every day. Every day I take Phenibut. Approach anxiety. I have another trick for getting rid of approach anxiety, actually. I made a video about this, but here's how you get rid of approach anxiety. You buy a bag of candy, right? What I like to use is licorice for some reason, but you can use whatever you want. And you put 10 pieces of licorice in a bag. And then every time you go and do an approach, as soon as you do the approach, like you walk over, like a sound escapes your mouth, you take a piece of candy and you put it in your mouth and you eat it. And you just like stand in the set eating the candy. Well, eating that one piece. And what it did for me is it allowed me to shift the focus from like having the set have to go well to actually going and doing the approach. And like, let me tell you, that shit works. Now, like having the set go well once you get in there, that's another story. But as far as like getting yourself to actually go and do the approach, that shit works for sure. NPP is awesome. I'd never taken NPP. Get on trend and then go back. That would be nice. That would be nice. I need income, bro. That's what I need. I need income. What I thought about doing, what I want to do. Okay, so I want to do the coaching program, right? Coaching program. I have anyway, long story short, I want to do the coaching program. I want to charge $5,000 to join the coaching program. But for the first group of people that join, I'll give them a discount, right? I know $5,000. Like if you don't know anything about coaching, you're like, why would anybody pay that much? Like I'm telling you, bro, people pay that much. They pay that much. Believe it or not, they pay that much and they pay more. I'll give them a discount. I was like, listen, it's normally $5,000, but if you join today, because it's my first one, you can join for $2,000. I'm only accepting 10 people. And it's an 8-week program. So 10 people, $2,000, that's 20 grand. Oh God, I would whose grandma do I need to shoot to get those people to join my program? I will do it right now. Not really. I'm joking. I don't shoot grandmas. Oh God. Oh man. I should turn off my air conditioning. I'm kind of freezing. But yeah, I need income, bro. Get me some income. And I need to just fucking get back out there and start knocking doors again. I took a little bit of time off from knocking the doors and it kind of fucked me up. Killed my momentum. Plus the knowledge that I'm not going to get paid on any new claims that I bring in this year. It's I'm working. I don't know. I know I will get paid on them eventually, next year if I come back and do this, which I probably will. But, what am I going to do in the wintertime? I don't want to stay here in the winter. I'm not trying to be in Minneapolis in the wintertime. It sounds awful. Anyway, my plan this weekend I got to get a guest on my podcast. It's just like a total train wreck of me just like talking to myself for 2 hours. How long has this been going on? Let's see here. Let's take a look. Can't really see. Hour and 25 minutes. Gotta have a guest on. Maybe I can get a fast guest for tomorrow or something like that. Anyway, the plan this weekend. Let's see. So effectively you use low dose Phenibut. How much do you take these days? Is it still effective for you? I take a gram a day. Yes, it is still effective for me. Is that low dose gram, like a gram a day? Probably not. That's probably like a moderate dose, I would say. But it's good enough. Like, I feel like the days pass without too much struggle, internal struggle, which for me is good. Like Phenibut, Wellbutrin combination, creatine. I also take creatine. I love that shit. But Phenibut and Wellbutrin for your mood, wow. Like if you take Phenibut and Wellbutrin, the only thing that will actually like make you upset is if you have real problems in your life. Like it makes you not worry about any unreal problems, right? Like you don't get worked up about bullshit anymore. Now, if you have a legitimate problem in your life, if your life like actually sucks for a certain reason, it doesn't make that go away. You do at the end of the day, regardless of what you take, still have to like fix your life. But as far as like if you just like have a chemical imbalance or just get upset about dumb shit, then Wellbutrin and Phenibut, bro, you're golden. Golden. What does Wellbutrin do? Wellbutrin is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor, meaning that it like makes you, it like recycles your dopamine instead of it getting absorbed by your body or something like that. So you have more like dopamine floating around in your brain or blood, like at higher concentrations on a more consistent basis, I guess. So what it like really does, like practically speaking, is that it just evens out your mood and makes it much easier for you to do stuff that you don't necessarily want to do. I got to turn off my air conditioning. I'll be right back. Oh my gosh. Does serotonin give you does Phenibut give you serotonin? I guess so. Well, if it does, then interesting. Didn't even know that. Is Phenibut serotonin? Is that what it does? I don't know. Well, it's possible. Yeah. It's pretty dope though. It's a good combination. But what I don't have is Trenbolone. You know what? Should I just go do the Tren? Should I just get on the Tren for like 8 weeks till my birthday and just see how it goes? And if it sucks, I'll just get off. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Man. All right. So who wants to join my coaching program? $5,000. I have this like... Anyway, it's been real. I'm going to wrap it up. Next time I will definitely have a guest on. And thank you for tuning in. Peace.